afternoon. We are so grateful and we are so honored that you are honoring our son. I wasn't going to talk today because I told my husband I'd just cry, so he's going to make the remarks for our family. But I did want to take a moment to tell you that our son, Captain Matthew Patrick Manukian, would be so thrilled to know that you are supporting veterans through this dedication and through all the outstanding work of the Rotary and all of the outstanding faculty and leaders at Foothill College. He valued education and he counseled all of his Marines to carry on their education, to get their bachelor's degrees, to prepare themselves to go out and serve the world. After he was killed, we were at many events throughout the United States, and we had a number of Marines who served with our son come up to us and say, "Your son told me to go to school. I'm taking classes online." We had Marines come up and say to us, "I'm going to the University of Arizona because that's where your son went." And I said to them, Matthew valued education, had applied to law school, and was going to be getting out after his final tour to go to law school. So he would be so grateful and so honored to know of the work of the Rotary and to know of the work of all of the leaders and teachers here. The motto that he lived by, that was on his phone, on his computer, and in all of his personal effects, was, "The true test of a person's character is what he does for those who could do nothing for him." And he loved his Marines, he loved his country, he fought for his country, and he died for all of us, and he worked for others without any expectation of return. That's what the Rotary does. That's what Jack does. That's what Ron does. That's what all of you do at Foothill. And so to the generous donors, to the wonderful people here and in the Rotary, thank you for honoring and remembering our son, because in doing so, you honor and serve all of the veterans, all of you who have served, and all the veterans at Foothill who have stepped up and taken that oath of enlistment, promising to fight for our freedom no matter the cost. Thank you.
To the Foothill community, I would like to thank the program committee for the honor of being asked to speak at this dedication. Just as a side note, President Nguyen, you were born overseas. I'm honored to serve with your husband, who was the first Vietnamese judge in the country. I'm an immigrant from Lebanon myself, and I'm a Superior Court judge addressing this fine audience here. What a great country. As inspiration for this speech, I reflected on my studies as a history student here, 1968 to 1970, a half century ago. I'm not a veteran, but I am a part of this community, and I respect the sacrifices made by the vets. Patricia told you about how he encouraged his guys to go to school. A lot of them went online to the military university. One of them was recently accepted to Columbia Business School. Another one who said he barely got out of high school, got his undergraduate degree, and now is going to start a master's program at University of San Francisco. There were vets here that served with Matt in Afghanistan. One is Army Special Ops guy, met him on a mission. Another, a woman who was an Air Force medic, she escorted him and his slain colleagues from Afghanistan to Germany on an airplane. The days now are real different than when I was a student here. Veterans were despised and now they're revered, as they should be. And as a community, it's important to honor and remember those representing a broad spectrum of professions and calling who donate time and energy to make a better community. And as I have recently said, I am drawing on my studies here of Thucydides and his chronicles of the Peloponnesian War and Pericles' funeral oration for those fallen. He said words to the effect like, "While the great generals and admirals are well known, not so the rank and file. Of them there is no widespread memory, but these were and are good and honorable, brave men and women whose righteous service should never be forgotten. No matter what the military veteran's specialty is, whether it's 0311 rifleman or 68 whiskey combat medical specialist, quartermaster, supply staff, recruiter, whatever you did as veterans in times of peace or war are all important players in the complex machinery necessary to make that the rest of us sleep peacefully at night. A great community respects its revered predecessors, the men and women who stepped up in the name of liberty from Lexington Green in Massachusetts to Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. They deserve the first mention. Second, a great community like this honors and praises the uniqueness of a commitment to democracy to make sure that our laws afford equal justice and peaceful coexistence to all our private differences, to allow every voice of reason to be heard. In times like this, it's important we work together and not apart. We can only do that if we agree with it. We're going to watch one another's backs in peace and quiet rather than raucous anger. Third, we must honor the sacrifice of the veterans here today, who will be here tomorrow, and their comrades in arms who are no longer with us. Who remembers John Brown, Samuel Hadley, Caleb Harrington, Jonathan Harrington, Robert Monroe, Isaac Muzzy, Asahel Porter, and Jonas Parker? They were the patriots who fell at Lexington on the 19th of April, 1775. The wounded patriots included a man named Prince Westerbrook, a black man, a slave. What were his hopes for surviving the revolution? What kind of freedom did he fight for? Speak their names out loud, for then they will live in the hearts of their families and friends. We must remember our family members, neighbors and friends, local boys and girls who have walked on these streets, passed by here, lived in this community. Speak their names out loud, for then they will live in their hearts of their families and friends. And women have paid the price of liberty too. They were killed in combat. Major Megan McClung, the first female officer killed in combat in the Iraq War. First female graduate of the history of the Naval Academy to be killed in action. Captain Jennifer Moreno, U.S. Army, a nurse who graduated from the University of San Francisco, killed on a raid with Army Rangers on a Taliban stronghold. Speak their names out loud, for then they will live in the hearts of their families and friends. Fourth, as a community, we have an obligation to each other and to the veterans to treasure their gift of liberty with an unfaltering resolve. We must help them forge their swords into plowshares to re-enter civilian life with school, with housing, with jobs, and with first-class medical care. This re-entry is stressful and not without risk or cost. We must remember Dr. Jennifer Gonzalez Shushariba, a renowned expert in the diagnosis and treatment of post-traumatic stress disorders. She was from this community. She went to St. Nicholas School down the street, St. Francis High School. She, along with two of her colleagues, Dr. Jennifer Golick and Christine Lober, were victims of the Pathways Veterans Home shooting on March 9th, 2018 in Yountville. Dr. Gonzalez Shushariba interviewed Captain Matt Manukian for her doctoral research on PTSD, dedicated her dissertation to him and to the men and women who were lost in combat. Speak their names out loud, for then they will live in the hearts of their families and friends. Fifth and finally, we must live up to the standards of dedication, commitment, and service to the community set by the veterans. You and I, the legacies of these American heroes, must determine to have as unfaltering a resolution to the commitment of liberty as they did. Because I was able to write this speech in the first place, I'm thanking all my school teachers. Because I was able to deliver it in English, I'm thanking all the veterans. Thank you for listening.